tonight. The number 7 ranked team in the nation, the Kansas Jayhawks, come calling against the Iowa State Cyclones here at the Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. One of the really good home court advantages anywhere in college basketball. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin along with Clark Kellogg. We're less than a minute away from the start of this one tonight. And Clark, as far as Iowa State is concerned, they got a couple of guys in the backcourt by the name of Thigpen and Bayless. It may not get a lot of attention nationally, but these guys really can make it go.
As good a backcourt duo as there is in the country, they combine to produce 31 points and 9 assists per game. Looking forward very much to the challenge of handling Adonis, Jordan, and Rex Walters, two guards that have gotten far more publicity than Thigpen and Bayless.
We have just received some news less than 10 minutes ago. We looked on the floor. Eric Pauley, the starting center for Kansas, was not out on the floor. He had come out initially to warm up, and Clark, his knee is encased in ice. He has irritated an old injury. This could be a very tough situation for the Jayhawks tonight.
Well, I think that means Patrick Richey goes into the starting lineup. They lose size. They lose about 12 points a game, but they also lose 5 additional fouls and a banger inside. Ostertag is going to have to step up big tonight.
So Pauley not in the lineup this evening. We'll be back with the starting lineups in the opening tip here inside the Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. And right now, let's take a look at the K-Swiss starting lineups for the Jayhawks of Kansas. Jordan, Walters, Richey, his first start of the year, Hancock, and Richard Scott, even more important, his presence tonight.
He certainly is. Inside, he's the man.
5th season for Roy Williams at KU. Career against Iowa State. He is 8-2 at Ames. He is .500. And the K-Swiss starting lineup for Iowa State. Thigpen, Bayless, Michalik, Hoiberg, and Loren Meyer, much improved in the middle. A 6'11" center. And, of course, the man on the bench, Johnny Orr. There he is. In fact, we're going to play something for you a little later here this evening. 13 seasons at Iowa State. This is how they introduced Johnny at this arena. They played a Tonight Show theme. Johnny comes around and glad hands everybody. In fact, he even went over and gave a hug to Roy Williams before this one. But with Roy just having lost his starting center, he was not really in a hugging mood.
Boy, Johnny Orr moves pretty good for a guy north of 60.
These are the numbers for Iowa State, home and road. It is really a Jekyll and Hyde basketball team. 94.5 points at home, only 69.2 on the road. How
about the shooting percentage? 53% as you take a look at Eric Pauley.
The officials for tonight, Ed Hightowers, the referee, Denny Friend, and David Hall are the umpires. The crowd immediately goes to work.
Bayless starting on Walters, Thigpen on Jordan. Thigpen quick enough to handle Jordan, but he's got about 3 inches and about 15 pounds. So he'll try to wear down Adonis Jordan, bang him and bump him away from screen.
Walters penetrates, loses the handle on the ball. Michalik will come away with the rebound.
Iowa State will spread you out. They try to keep everybody above the foul line to avail themselves to the backdoor opportunities. Kansas is man-to-man most of the way.
Meyer with the short turnaround, partially blocked. I believe Richey got a hand on it. Scott inside. Gets the first 2. Meyer. And Kansas gets caught, and nothing makes any coach, and particularly Roy Williams, any angrier than to turn around after scoring and get caught. Richey will go to the line for a couple.
Well, excuse me, Ron, but that's one of the things that Iowa State was concerned about. Them scoring and Kansas running back at them after a made field goal. Well, that time, Richard Scott was in the home run trot. Loren Meyer got out and ran the floor and got the easy deuce. There you see Scott, an excellent post-up player, shooting 59% from the floor, uses his lower body extremely well to get the ball where he wants it, has a nice little drop-step move or the jump hook.
Misses the first free throw shooting for the Jayhawks, 69.4%. He gets the second.
In conference play, Ron, these the #1 and #2 free throw shooting teams, respectively.
Meyer is going to be called for an offensive foul.
Here you take a look. Bayless beating the trap over the top. Meyer catches 6'10", can lay it on the floor and gets to the rack. Rex Walters seemed to be leaning in. I thought that should have been a hoop and a block.
Crowd certainly agrees with you. 3-2 our score. KU on top as we're about to have played the first 2 minutes of this one. Jordan with the bounce pass. Scott in and out, unlucky on the bounce, and Meyer comes away with the rebound. Iowa State to run neatly, and they miss the point-blank layup as Thigpen was there, and a whistle and a foul by Eddie Hightower.
Put your seatbelt on, Ron. We're going up and down.
When they played at Lawrence, you might explain this, that Iowa State did not want Kansas to get into their running game, so they went 4 corners and tried to decide pace or dictate.
Exactly. They wanted to slow it down, and you'll see that with a lot of teams. They'll have a little different philosophy and approach on the road versus home. See, at home in this environment, they haven't lost. It's 14 straight when you go back to last year's meeting with Kansas here. 13 straight here at home this year. But they want to get the crowd into a frenzy, and it's hard to do that if you spread the floor. You've got to push the ball ahead and convert some transition opportunities.
Ball on the sideline, Kansas basketball. Michalik got tangled up on that sideline with Meyer. Hancock, way outside.
Richey can shoot the 3. Meyer not used to guarding a guy out that far away from the hole.
Jordan just inside the 3-point line.
You know, the coaching staff for Iowa State looked at Jordan's shooting numbers and said, hey, he's only shooting 36%. But they're a little weary of that because they don't want him to break out of it against them.
Well, Hoiberg was not expecting to pass from Michalik, and it's a turnover against Iowa State as Ostertag will check into the lineup and Patrick Richey will go to the bench. So this will be the 1-2 combination in the middle tonight. And I'll be anxious to see if Ostertag, if they bring him out high as much as they do Pauley, because that's where they like to do the back pick and get somebody free back door.
Exactly. Pauley very effective at the high post because he's an excellent 15 to 17-foot shooter and a pretty reliable passer.
Jordan wants Scott inside, works against Michalik. Hancock, you see the double come over quickly, out of bounds, and touch last by Iowa State.
Well, I tell you, that guy right there, Ron Bayless, cat quick and smart as well. When he gambles, he typically gets a hand on the basketball.
I think the coaches, as far as preparing him for a game like this one or any other in the Big 8 Conference, is kind of like, this is your man, sick him. Jordan left alone. Hoiberg comes away. Knocked out of bounds by Jordan. Crowd wanted a foul on Jordan as there was contact between himself and Bayless. I'll tell you, these are 2 ball clubs that the way they play defense, you better not pick up your dribble if you don't have somebody in sight, because you'll get your pocket picked very quickly.
And you better not throw floaters cross court. They'll get pilfered.
That's the term I was looking for.
Glad to oblige, partner.
Off the mark, Thigpen. 5-2, Kansas on top. We're about to have played 3.5 minutes of this one.
You can see right there, Meyer going to sag off of Ostertag and bait him into the 15-footer.
Nothing there for Hancock, but it's Meyer who pulls it down. Neither club able to reach stride just yet. And as I said, Thigpen knocks it down.
Boy, you get him in the open court, he will shake you and break you down and pull up with that jump shot.
Hancock with the pass to Scott, a little too high. Fifth move coming up here by Thigpen.
A little shake 'em and bake 'em. Check out Justus Thigpen going against Walters. Back him up, make him stumble, mark it up. Let's go back.
Well, Justus was one of the players that we got an opportunity to visit with today, and he said Coach Orr's not going to have to give any kind of win one for the Gipper speech in this one, that they were so excited about going against this KU backcourt. Couple of substitutes. Woodberry has come into the lineup for KU, and also Calvin Rayford. Meyer working inside of his Ostertag, backed him in deep and took him up strong.
Sweet drop step. The strength of Loren Meyer's game, according to the assistant coaches, is he doesn't have a real weakness.
Ostertag on the foul.
Keys in this game tonight, rebounding both ways. Iowa State has struggled on the backboard. Turnovers by Kansas have to be minimized. Iowa State wants to get points off their D, and transition defense both ways will be significant factors.
Roy Williams is up and telling his club he wants them to get it up and down the floor a little more. They're playing Iowa State's tempo rather than KU's tempo. Ostertag partially blocked and a foul on Meyer.
Number 41, Loren Meyer of Iowa State, his second personal foul.
Ostertag and Meyer. Ostertag 0-0, begging for the ball. Good hold off here. Good target hand. Good feed. Quick turnaround, Jay. And Casper has made an appearance. I think Meyer made a good challenge there.
Yeah. Ostertag misses the first.
Big 8 play, he's their leader in block shots and doesn't play an awful lot. Ostertag has blocked 11 shots in 120 minutes. That would project out to about one every 10 or 11 minutes over a 32 minute game. If he was getting minutes, he'd be blocking about 3 shots a game.
Oh, will go to the bench, getting the second one, and the 58% free throw shooter, as Kansas with the pressure, and Iowa State breaks it. Thigpen for 3. Iowa State with the lead. Scott misses from point-blank range, and here's Hoiberg.
Well, Michalik may have gotten away with a little push there.
Bayless strong, and it's going to be almost stolen. Back on the floor, Walters will come away with it. And they break 4-on-1 on this one. And Woodberry with the easy 2.
The Velcro man, Steve Woodberry.
Hard not to like, isn't he?
Oh, my goodness, he does it all.
Is he as good a 6-man, you think, of all the people you've seen in college basketball?
Certainly.
Richey with the reach in there.
Richey of Kansas, his first. Jayhawks second.
Walters will go out of the lineup, and Hancock will report back in.
Everybody talks, as you look at Hancock, about Jordan and Walters, and they're solid, outstanding guards. But I think one of the other Velcro guys, one of the guys that holds this Kansas team together, is Steve Woodberry. His versatility, and he's like third in minutes, fourth in minutes played, even though he doesn't start.
Hoiberg left alone. 4-3. Count it. The coaches would like to see more of that. They want to see him shoot more.
And they'd like to see him get his shot attempts up to the 13 to 15 range instead of the 8 or 9 that he normally takes.
Michalik will pick up his first foul. The crowd, for a moment, in fact, the way Meyer reacted, I think everybody thought it was on him. That would have been his third. In fact, he will go to the bench for a moment. And 43, Howard Eaton, a senior out of Helena, Arkansas, 6'6", 215 pounds, will check into the lineup.
Well, that young man has really played well of late.
He really has improved, hasn't he?
Big time. And I think it's a matter of confidence. He always had the tools, according to the coaches here. Can run the floor, can put it on the floor, can catch it in traffic.
Only a sophomore out of Ruthven, Iowa. Scott gets them both.
Good start for him from the stripe. He's not known for his free throw shooting.
Pulls up, short with the shot. The follow, in and out, and unlucky in the bounce there for Howard Eaton. Normally the home hoop doesn't do that to you. Scott battling inside. Boy, they're really having a battle.
Well, he sits down in there so well, and he's so strong through his lower body. If he gets position, you're not going to move him without fouling.
For three, Richey.
You can't leave him alone. He's an excellent three-point shooter. This Kansas team, one of the best shooting teams in the country again. They have been ever since Roy Williams has been here.
If you have just joined us as the pass is thrown away and a turnover against Iowa State. If you have just turned on and wondered why you have not seen Eric Pauley in the lineup tonight, he is on the bench. He came out, he warmed up in the initial warm-up period, then did not come back out with the team for the formal warm-up, and he is on the bench with an ice pack on his left knee. It's the reoccurrence of an injury that has been bothering him as of late. And I think you can tell by the ice pack it would be very surprising if he were to participate tonight. Scott with the reverse. Bayless skies to get that rebound. Justin Thigpen will get it, and that ball almost touched on the cylinder. Scott can't get it. Hancock in the fall.
Well, nice job by Hancock to get the offensive board and then retreat back. He's matched up on Thigpen now. I would think maybe you come back with a little isolation. Thigpen just took him off the dribble.
Hoiberg. You see why they want him to shoot.
Hoiberg is their top glass eater at 7 a game, and he's only about 6'3".
Couldn't get to it, a little too tall. Three for Bayless. Hang on now, that crowd beginning to heat him up. 18-17 Iowa State.
Roy Williams and his team thrives on this kind of environment. He wants to run a good play and try to silence this crowd.
Richey for three. Boy.
Roy Williams has been clapping the whole time since the crowd got into it, wanting his team to settle down, execute their offense, and get a good look. And I know there's no greater feeling as a player or coach than to silence the crowd when you're on the run.
Walters guilty of the violation. Hoiberg going on the cut, and he surely would have gone for an easy two. So the foul, 10:52 left.
Halftime, but they've gotten back within 3 until Val Barnes knocks down a 3. And right now, Iowa has pulled away again, leading at 72-57.
Okay, John, thank you. 20-18 our score with 10:52 left in this opening half. And the locals here at the Hilton Coliseum trying to urge their club on to a Big 8 conference victory here tonight to keep that home win streak alive. 57% Iowa State, 50% for the Jayhawks. Morgan Wheat has come into the lineup. He wears number 40. Michalik gets his own foul. And Richey turned around. Walters thought the foul was on him. Richey said, me, or was it on him? Well, tomorrow on Super Tuesday, first game of the doubleheader, 7:30 Eastern Time. Number 1 Indiana is at Ohio State. The Hoosiers, undefeated in the Big Ten Conference, will travel to Columbus. Calvert Cheney needing just 33 points to become Indiana's all-time leading scorer. And we'll tell you about the second game of that doubleheader in just a couple minutes. In fact, now, the second game of the doubleheader, Southeastern Conference, around 9:30 Eastern Time. Alabama against LSU, battling for SEC tournament positions. LSU.
One of the things Iowa State wanted to do was eliminate transition baskets by Kansas, and so far, they've done a nice job of that.
Ostertag can't get it to go. Hoiberg on the follow.
Kansas showing Thigpen a couple of different looks. That time Jordan was on him. That's one of the things you like about both of these backcourts, Ron. They're interchangeable. Thigpen and Bayless can play either the small or big guard, offensively and defensively. And even Adonis Jordan, being as small as he is at about 5'10", still is pretty tough defending bigger guards sometimes.
That's going to be a travel, and it will give us an opportunity. We talked about Wheat checking into the lineup. He has normally been wearing 00. He is wearing number 40 in honor of Iowa's Chris Street, who, of course, was killed in January in that car accident in Iowa City. And Hoiberg of Ames will wear number 40 next year. And what the players would like to do in honor of Chris Street and their feeling for him is that someone on the Iowa State roster from now on will always wear number 40 in honor of Iowa's Chris Street. That is,
nice,
I think, a terrific gesture on the part of these kids. Hoiberg just inside the three-point line, not there, and it's Richey who brings down the rebound. Richey has been very effective so far. Woodberry. Eaton on the board, and Iowa State will push it up.
When you talk about what you missed with Pauley out of the lineup, I said it at the top. They missed size and they missed his shooting and scoring, but they also missed the ability he had to give him another couple of fouls. Richey, now being oversized, has picked up a couple of fouls down low. Actually, he has 3 already, and I would expect him probably to sit down now.
Having lost Richey for the evening, or Pauley, I should say. That's the very area that they don't need to get anybody in foul trouble. Hoiberg with the feed. Turnaround jumper, not there, and it's Scott. Jordan. Hancock looks for the cutter. Good defense. And he will just take it to the hoop. He will be called for an offensive foul, and they will count the hoop.
Boy, nice strong take by Darrin Hancock.
The offensive foul.
Looks off the defender. He's pressured. Takes it right through him. One bounce. Explodes to the goal. Sweet move. And then I couldn't quite see who that was for Iowa State that stepped in and took the
Eaton,
foul.
I believe.
Eaton, you're right.
Eaton is playing tough defensively. They'll count the hoop. Iowa State back on top by 1 as we go under 9 minutes to play in this opening half. Stolen again, and Bayless will come back with it. Holds up and made it. He missed that one badly. Walters brings his club back and will take it all the way to the hoop. Fed it at the last minute, but it'll stay with Kansas. And Clark, possibly one too many passes in close there.
Exactly. Walters got in deep, had a shot. If you're going to penetrate that deep, if you get inside the dotted line, more times than not, you need to go ahead and look for your shot. You want to keep it about the foul line, but once you get inside that dotted line, you've got to be thinking about scoring yourself.
Whistle and a foul away from the ball as Michalik has gone to the bench and Meyer has come back into the lineup. So let's take a break. 7:57 left. 22 Iowa State. And if you wonder where the 2 additional points came from, the break was taken. Hoiberg went ahead to the line and swished them both. And
woo-wee. Something that Johnny Orr would say.
Woo-wee, and there's no place like home. And believe me, Johnny believes that. Here are the Big 8 standings, and the reason for the importance of this one. Iowa State would like to move up there in a position where they still have a shot at the crown with everybody having 4 games left. 8-2 Kansas on top of Oklahoma State at 6-4. Iowa State, and look at the logjam, Clark, of 5-5, 4 teams here in the Big 8 Conference.
It's tight. Missouri lost a tough one at home against Nebraska. As you take a look at Jimmy B, don't give up. We're praying for you.
country, someone, our numbers of people come up and ask and say hi and send their best. That sign says it for everybody. Oh, the flash stats. Iowa State 50%, 47%. KU. Rebounds 12-9 and turnovers 6-5. Iowa State on the heavy side in that one. But all of a sudden they have gotten their chemistry going here in the last 4 minutes. Johnny Orr's ball club has pulled out on top. Largest margin by them this evening.
Well, already Kansas over the limit, and that's one of the things that had to concern Roy Williams when he saw that Eric Pauley wouldn't be able to go. Some of his smaller front line people getting in foul trouble, and now Iowa State shoots the rest of the way this half.
Scott saved it. That knocked out of bounds by Justus Thigpen. Thigpen's head might be ringing for a bit. Did you see that screen by Ostertag? And no teammates were talking to him. Iowa State has turned it up a notch defensively as well.
Very active. They do a good job of staying in front of the ball.
Nice look by Woodberry.
Well, he gives you everything, doesn't he?
He really does.
He can shoot the three. He can drive it. He'll drive it and dish. He defends. He can play 3 spots for you.
Sean Pearson in the lineup for KU. Sophomore from LaGrange, Illinois. Thigpen for 3.
He's got it going, Ron. You can just see it. You talked to him earlier today.
Oh,
and you saw that look in his eye.
Oh, he was pumped then. I thought, you know, you need to come down a couple of stories
and
before this game.
And I think he came down just enough to get the maximum out of his adrenaline. His shot looks good, and he wants the ball every trip down. And he's defending extremely well. Take a look here. Isolation for Jordan. No go.
Jordan caught him up in traffic. Nice job as he worked the baseline and knocks down the 2.
Well,
most importantly for KU, it quiets the crowd.
Exactly. Very impressed how Kansas, anytime they need to quiet this crowd, they make 3 or 4 extra passes and get a high percentage look at the goal.
Jordan pulls up and nails it from 17.
Sweet. See, he knows Thigpen wants to take him. One of the best ways to counteract that is to go at Thigpen at the defensive end a little bit.
Pearson will go out of the lineup as the foul is called on Scott, his first. Team foul number 8 against the Jayhawks. And it's going to send 43 Howard Eaton to the line as Hoiberg comes back into the lineup. Okay. A sophomore from right here in Ames. In fact, his brother is one of the ball boys tonight.
He's out there getting some work in prior to, during, and even after the game.
Calvin Rayford will check back in. Scott will go out. Jordan will stay, and also Woodberry will stay. Walters and Ostertag, the other 2, is to make up the 5 and the 4 for Kansas. .28. Walters all the way to the hoop and with emphasis.
Rex got a step and then turned it over.
That's the first 2 for him tonight.
They will be remembered.
Meyer against Ostertag. This one, and Ostertag will grab off the rebound. 32-30, Iowa State about to go under 5 minutes left in this opening half. Woodberry open. He found Ostertag, counted, and he'll go to the line for a possible 3-point play.
Number 41, Loren Meyer of Iowa State, his 3rd. Cyclones 5th team foul.
Meyer with his 3rd now.
How sweet is this dime? Woodberry looking like he wanted to fade away. Jay saw Ostertag at the last second, and the big fella took it in and drew the foul. picked up his third there. He'll sit the rest of this half.
Ostertag completes the three-point play, and with that, KU goes back on top at the 5:16 mark. Ostertag will sit. Scott will come back in.
One of the things you like about Kansas, and this goes back to Roy Williams' philosophy, is that when we come in on, he really understands what it takes to win on the road.
Rayford with the steal, and he will go the distance and has it blocked by Bayless. Thigpen battles for it, and they say Iowa State basketball.
We talked about what this backcourt duo does offensively and defensively. Rayford to the rack. Sent back by Bayless. Bayless was a high school teammate of Greg Graham, the Indiana standout for 4 years.
Take a look at Rayford. Gets another steal. This time dishes to Jordan. And he has the layup to push KU out on top by 3 again.
And Rayford giving him a nice spark. Good pressure defensively by the Jayhawks here to have this little mini spurt.
Timeout is called by Thigpen. Did not want to get the 5-second violation, so we'll take it with him.
In Kentucky, the Privateers thought they had this one wrapped up till Donnell leans in with that shot, and then Gerald Williams, a little desperation, throws it up, it won't go. They're headed to overtime. Ron and Clark.
Boy, great game between two ball clubs doing a. Take a look at this. Now, we had nothing to do with his sign. He's even got the copyright in there.
The copyright is right in there. You talk about dedicated fans. My goodness.
And coming up on the halftime Delta Faucet report, Iowa and Penn State Pitt and Providence. That and other things going on tonight. That's amazing. Stay tuned for the Delta Faucet halftime report.
Yeah, that's
that
awesome.
guy's a fan, huh?
Big time. Kansas has turned it up a notch defensively. They've extended the defense. That means you got to spread the floor and try to beat that pressure off the dribble. You need to be aggressive on the dribble.
Hoiberg knocks down the jumper. We've had 9 lead changes, 2 ties. KU's biggest lead by 3. That's going to be goaltending. And Iowa State's maximum lead in this ball game, 4 points. So count the hoop. It's 37-34. On the line, junior out of Riviera Beach, Florida, 6'4", 180. Junior college transfer that I think maybe they were expecting even more from this year, but trying to make his way into this lineup at Iowa State.
And into the system. This high post offense they run isn't the easiest to grasp a hold of. See, now Kansas packing it in a little bit. Not wanting to give up any kind of penetration inside.
Turnaround jumper, kind of quick on the shot there. Brown, who we were just talking about. And the look inside, Woodberry is open, and he swishes it.
That's how you shoot 53% as a team. Everybody has their head up looking for the open man. Everybody cuts expecting to get the ball if they're open. Great cut by Woodberry. And then the catch and right now shot. See, if he hesitates another half second or maybe gets a bounce, the defense can recover. Excellent work.
6 points for Woodberry.
He got a couple of assists, too, so he's accounted for double digits here in his time on the floor.
Michalik pulls up, misses the 15-footer. And then Hightower says Walters stepped on the baseline.
Boy, the Cyclones in danger here, Ron, of losing contact. Clearly, Kansas, with their pressure defensively, has now been able to get the momentum and really control things, forcing tough shots from Iowa State.
Michalik against Woodberry, spin move and knocks it down. 5 points for the man they call Hurl. Thigpen, unlucky on that one, knocked out of bounds by Iowa State. It'll go to Kansas.
Thigpen could have used one more bounce, Ron, to get himself closer to the basket. Johnny Orr felt like he may have gotten fouled. No call. Now Kansas looking to take a little break, spread it out a bit.
On the floor, Rayford is there to pick it up, and you see him trying to make the steal on him. That's quick against quick, isn't it?
Very quick, and then he's got that low center of gravity. The ball's only coming up about 4 inches when he dribbles it. Makes it impossible to take it away without fouling. Kansas getting down into executing territory now.
You can see the shot clock, and it will be fed to Scott. Walters does not realize on the reset on the shot clock.
Right. They hit the iron, and they go in after using 42 seconds. They get it back on the second shot.
He didn't reset it immediately, and that's the reason it went down to 2 and down to 1, and then they reset it. Game clock is at 1:16. 3-point Kansas lead. About to go under 1 minute until halftime.
There's the shot clock in the left corner.
Jordan, the tip by Woodberry, not there. Scott battles, and Woodberry will come away with it. And KU would have used up close to 2 minutes on this possession right here.
Exactly. Second shots, we talked about how important rebounding would be both ways. You're seeing a prime example of it right here. With this spreads floor, it's tougher to block out individual guys when the shot goes up. Everybody's spread out.
Clark is about 11 seconds difference between the shot clock and the game clock.
Well, this is wearing Iowa State out. I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas gets another offensive rebound.
Walters lost the handle, and here comes Iowa State. Bayless. And he's fouled by Rayford. And with all of this happening, KU comes away with no points, but there's only 13.6 seconds left.
Well, Iowa State, with 2 free throws here, will have an opportunity to squeeze the lead and then come up with a defensive stand and maybe go in down just 1.
You could see Roy Williams to the official said, I believe that was a foul down there.
In a very tactful manner.
Bayless rattles the first one down.
Here's Walters on the penetration, the last possession.
Yeah,
there's Fred Brown reaching in and smacking him right on the wrist.
Yep, he hacked him right across the wrist. You're right. Michalik will go to the bench, and Howard Eaton will come in with 13.6 seconds left until the halftime. Yulo will be taken out of harm's way as far as picking up another foul before halftime. Not sure Rayford knows how much time is left here. Now he does. And has it stolen. Bayless gets it away. So they are standing and they are cheering. John Saunders, understand one thing. This is one Hilton where all visitors are not welcome.
Absolutely. In this Hilton, they want to kick you out as quickly as possible with a loss added to your column there. The Delta Faucet halftime report rolls along right now. We'll have a look at scores and highlights. Plus, we will update some of the standings from around the nation as things near crunch time for getting to the NCAA tournament. Game number 3 tonight. Number 13, UNLV faces UC Santa Barbara. That one coming up at midnight Eastern time following Sports Center. Back with all that and more in just a moment.
ESPN's NCAA Basketball is brought to you by K-Swiss Athletic Footwear and Apparel. Crafted with passion.
A small touch, a certain look. It's the little things that are worth the most. Which is why every Delta faucet gives you more than you'd ever expect for the money. Giving you the money for those things you can't even put a value on. Delta, the way
Fawcett halftime report. Let's quickly check the scores and highlights. Tulane ranked number 16 in the nation. They move into Philadelphia and get clobbered by John Chaney's Owls. 79-57 is the final, as Eddie Jones had a tremendous game with 29 points and 8 rebounds. Aaron McKee, 24 points and 11 rebounds. Tulane shooting just 31% in the game. Now, in the Big Ten tonight, number 18 Iowa on the road at Penn State. The Penn State Nittany Lions trying to duplicate some of their magic from earlier, but the fans here getting into it a little bit too much. Jeff Kindig is tossed out of the game by the officials, ejected. Meanwhile, Val Barnes hits this three-pointer. He had 6. Second half, Penn State comes back. Rashawn Carlton hits a 3. Carlton hits a 2. Lions down only 5. They got it to within 3 after being down 20 at halftime, but James Winters with a big slam. And Bruce Parkell's squad cannot come all the way back. 74-58 is the final. Val Barnes, 33 points on those 6 three-pointers. A.C. Earl just 13 points, but had 10 rebounds and 3 block shots. In the Sun Belt Conference, New Orleans number 1 in the conference, undefeated. Western Kentucky at 11-3 and in second place. So the matchup at the top is Donnell leans in here. Gerald Williams tries to avoid overtime, but this will not go for the Privateers. In the OT, Cephas Button along the baseline reverses, lays it in. And now it's gone to double overtime, still tied 62 apiece. Gerald Williams had 11 points for New Orleans in the first half of the game. This one already into the second OT. So a look at the standings right now in the Sun Belt. New Orleans, if they win, will clinch the regular season title and get their 21st win of the year. Western Kentucky looking to stay alive in the race for first place. They're 11-3 right now, just a game in front of Southwestern Louisiana. Meanwhile, in the Big East, Pittsburgh, now number 25, dropping down the polls after dropping a couple of games in a row. Providence and the Friars looked like they had no chance at making the NCAA tournament just a few weeks ago, but now they're right in the hunt. Tony Turner comes flying right into your living room there. Now, Pitt starts on fire. Ahmad Sharif knocks down this 3. Providence, top on the boards as they always are. Michael Smith with a great rebound and saves it. Rob Phelps knocks down the 3. Smith, 13 rebounds in the first half, and Paul Evans sees this one slipping away a little bit. Franklin Western with the miss. Dickie Simpkins gets the hoop. Western does it himself with a tough scoop there. And the Providence Friars win for the 4th straight time in the conference. First time since back in 86-87 they've done that. 53-48 is the final, as Dickie Simpkins had 11 points and 8 rebounds. Michael Smith, 9 points, but 18 rebounds. A look at the standings, and we'll start with the bottom half of the Big East and see Pitt drops to 7-8, while Providence goes up to 7-8. And 500 mark is usually the magic number for the Big East, or for most conferences, in getting into the NCAA tournament, at least most of the power conferences. Seton Hall at top at 10-4 after knocking off Georgetown yesterday. St. John's, Boston College, and Connecticut still very much in the hunt for first place in the Big East and the number 1 seed towards the Big East tournament. Back with more here on Big Monday in just a moment. We are at halftime in the Big 8. Iowa State, a couple of quick ones have moved. But Texas A&M now leading Texas 43-25 in the second half, as Brett Murray has 9 points and 3 rebounds. Fawcett halftime report and some more scores and highlights. We'll start in the Colonial Athletic Association. This one is tied up, 9:20 to go between Richmond and William and Mary. It's been tight throughout. Thomas Roberts had 11 points and 5 rebounds in the first half of the game for William and Mary. In the Metro Conference, Virginia Tech at Virginia Commonwealth. And this one, a couple of teams that have outside shots, or at least hopes of making it to the tournament. Kendrick Warren with a broken foot here. Sharon Mills with the miss. Tyrone McCoy slams it home. Sean Good can't hit the jumper. Thomas Elliott skies up and knocks in the jam right there. Kenny Harris then hits a 3-pointer. Terrence Gibson then knocks a 3-pointer down. He had a career-high 20. Then working it underneath. Harris drives, dishes to Mills for 2. And Harris another 3-pointer. 15 points, 14 assists. Didn't turn it over at all. Virginia Tech loses to VCU 86-69. VCU now 16-7, 6-4 in the Metro Conference for Virginia Tech. The season slipping away. They're now 1-8 in the conference. VCU with a school record 13 3-pointers in the game. Maine a loser to UConn, 108-72. Brian Fair, 18 points and 6 three-pointers. Southern Illinois loses to St. Louis, 87-76. Donnie Dobbs, 23 points, 6 rebounds there. In the SWAC, Jackson State all over Mississippi Valley State, 5 points with 1:46 left. Jackson State looking for the SWAC title. It will be the 9th time in its history. They've either won or shared that title if they can hang on to that. George Wright, 15 points in the first half. And in the Southland, Northeastern Louisiana, over McNeese State, 72-68. Ryan Stewart, 19 points and 12 rebounds there. They've now won 8 straight in the series and clinched the Southland regular season title. Back with more in just a moment here on Big Monday in the Big 8. At the end of the first half, a little thing sloppy here for Kansas as Bayless
beat on Penn State in the Big Ten. Sam Perkins heads for Seattle, but are the Lakers done making moves? And Mario on the way back sooner rather than later. Keith Olbermann for Dan Patrick. Join us tonight on SportsCenter.
Super Tuesday tomorrow night from the Big Ten. #1 Indiana on the road at Ohio State. Then we move to the SEC. Alabama in to face LSU. And right now in the game that's in double overtime, Gerald Williams here moves into position, hits this jumper as New Orleans and Western Kentucky are going to the free throw line plenty of times in the second OT. As a result, it's still tied, 66 apiece. 2 minutes to go. They may go 3 before this.
Express traveler's checks for 2 at most places where our regular checks are sold. And by Selsun Blue. No leading brand gets rid of dandruff better than Selsun Blue.
Welcome back to Ames, Iowa, 40-39. That's our score at halftime, and one of the reasons it is a 2-point lead for Iowa State is what happened just prior to the end of the first half. And Clark, it kind of sums up what you talked about off the opening of the telecast, and that is the guard play of both of those teams, but particularly Thigpen and Bayless. Maybe underrated, but they can do it.
They really can, especially at the defensive end. Ron Bayless, even though he only scored a few points, very instrumental in the first half. Here you see him, good position with his feet, flicks his away as Rayford lost control, then right away gets his head up and gets it to Justus Thigpen, who ended up with 12 points in that first half. And this basket gave the Cyclones the lead.
And that happened with about 1.2 seconds left until halftime. Here is our comparison on the guards as far as points and assists. 16 and 4 for Bayless and Thigpen. 10 points and 4 assists for Jordan and for Walters. Here are the first half stats. In field goals, KU 57-55. Free throws, Iowa State 70%. Turnovers even. Points off turnover almost even there. Substitutions. Very big for KU to have 18 points off the bench tonight with Eric Pauley. And we were just told officially it is a strained patella tendon in that knee. And they say it is a day-to-day situation.
That's right. Yeah, some days it can feel great. The treatment is rest, ice, and heat prior to games. And other days it'll flare up and cause problems like it did tonight.
That's Patrick Richey, who started in his place tonight. And probably the most important thing, if you are Roy Williams and his staff, and looking at what his substitute came in and did, Ostertag and Richey playing the center spot. 8 points and 7 points respectively for a total of 15. So picking up the slack, and that's what it's all about.
Richey, though, with 3 fouls. As the Loren Meyer, who just scored, also has 3.
Meyer with the turnaround to open it up. That's an 8-0 run, Clark, for Iowa State since the end of the first half. Oh, nice look for Richey. And gets the easy 2. The crowd wanted to watch.
Well, Kansas really does a nice job of looking for the guy with the best shot. Scott had a chance to score himself there, but found Richey.
Thigpen misses. Pulls it away. Hancock a rather quiet first half. Offensive foul.
That's 4.
No basket. The offensive foul on number 12, Richey, is 4.
Good take here to get by Meyer. But Fred Hoiberg steps in and sacrifices himself. And looked like he was there in good position.
So Patrick Richey becomes the first player in the ball game tonight, picking up his 4th. He has to go to the bench. Ostertag immediately out on the floor for KU.
Well, we said it in the first half how Pauley's absence affects the rotation in terms of foul.
Hoiberg with the back cut and a nice pass from Michalik out front.
Well, see, they lift everybody. They keep all of their guys free throw line extended, so they're always looking for that back cut.
Ostertag with a turnaround jumper. If he becomes proficient at that, he is going to be some kind of trouble in the Big 8 Conference, or wherever they play.
Exactly. He's showing some flashes, Ron, and I think Roy would like to play him a little more, but he's just lacks consistency. Maybe tonight, when they need him, he'll step up big.
Scott with the steal as the pass was for Michalik, and he'll knock it home. And that evens out the steal and the score at the end of the first half. KU goes back on top by 1.
Well, that's what happens when you pick up the dribble in the wrong place on the floor. Kansas just cut off one side of the floor, and Scott overplayed and got the steal. You've got to keep the ball alive until you're ready to make a pass to a receiver.
Thigpen, good, quick cut. Couldn't get it to go, and Ostertag with the rebound.
No seconds for Iowa State at all. One and done.
Walters for 3. Not there, and it'll be Iowa State basketball. And looking at the numbers, you can see again why Hoiberg, why they want him to shoot more. He's 4 of 6 from the field.
Well, he's shooting 57% on the year, so he makes most of the shots he takes. He just doesn't take enough.
Michalik. Kansas breaks out. This will be a 2-on-2, and Jordan
nice
will
job
take it back out.
Nice job by Bayless there to cut off the penetrating lane.
Stepped in the baseline. Let's go back to that graphic just a moment ago. KU trailing at the half 4-3 this season. The 4 wins at Indiana, at Oklahoma, at K-State, and against Oklahoma State at home.
And again, pointing out how they like to get it done on the road. I guess what we initially thought was an out-of-bounds violation on Hancock has been changed to a foul on Fred Hoiberg.
Boy, you could see the displeasure on Johnny Orr's face. Second foul on Hoiberg. Jordan can't get it to go, and Thigpen will just let it go out of bounds. 16:54 left in the ball game, and Kansas by 1. In the first half, we had 9 lead changes. Bayless this time, and he has 3. Seven points for Bayless. And Hancock will go to the line for a couple, and I believe Michalik will be guilty of the violation.
42, Julius of Iowa State, his second personal, second team foul on the Cyclones.
Look at the spacing here. Here you see good spacing. There's Walters. Jordan has the ball. He's going to swing it. Now somebody's coming along the baseline. That's Darrin Hancock right in there. Good spacing, though, created that opportunity at the basket. You need 12 to 15 feet ideally between players, and then to make it work, you've got to have ball reversing. And that time they got it to one side, swung it to the other side, and then Hancock, coming from the weak side, got the flash post to the basketball.
Hancock, a 57% free throw shooter, knocks them both down. As 43 Howard, Eaton checks back into the ballgame. New Orleans in double overtime wins over Western Kentucky 71-67. Turnover Iowa State. Woodberry. Spin move. Nice dish to Hancock. And that is just what Clark was talking about.
He gives you everything. Spin move, control, penetration. He accounted for 14 points in the first half, 4 dimes and 6 points himself. Make it 5 dimes.
Bayless for 3. Hard off the front iron, and the KU with a fast break. And they come out now 3 on 2. And Walters with his 4th point of the night.
Transition hoops because of good D. They forced a tough shot. Bayless is the guy who took it. He's not in position to get back. 2-on-1 the other way.
Oh, Hoiberg. And he blew the layup. Got left alone and missed it from point-blank range.
By Scott for
I think Johnny Orr is just holding out for the TV timeout.
I think you're right. 6-point bulge. This equals the largest lead by Kansas tonight.
This team starting to leak a bit of oil here.
Thigpen.
basket by Justus.
Not a bad guy to go to when you need to plug a hole. Now Kansas will be a little more deliberate here. See, they've been getting the kind of shots. Roy Williams talked about his team getting the shots he wants when they need good possession. So that means not turning it over for one.
Bayless will be contested by Woodberry and put down hard.
Boy, good tough foul here. Bayless gives Woodberry a chance. Nice anticipation. See, Bayless just plays the play. And now, see, he looks back at Woodberry right there, and that gave Woodberry an opportunity to close in on him. I think at Bayless, see, he looked him off right there. And I think that's another reason Woodberry came as aggressively as he did. When you look a guy in the eyes, you're going to the rack. That's kind of like, take this. And Woodberry wanted to say, you earned 2 at the strike.
Johnny Orr hopped up, and he and the staff both asked for an intentional foul, but it was obvious for both the replays. You could see that Woody was, in fact, going for the ball. He didn't get it, but he also didn't allow him to score,
Exactly.
which is what you're taught to do. Timeout on the floor. 14-20 left to play. Kansas by a pair.
You are here. He has the traveler's checks here. Nah, that's no good. But this is American Express traveler's checks for 2. The only checks either of you can use. Don't leave home without them.
My dandruff shampoo is good.
Better try something else. Mine really works.
You'd better try something else, like Selsun Blue. Doctors recommend it more than all leading brands. Selsun Blue. Doctor recommended #1.
Reincarnation. The belief you can come back is just about anything. Why do some guys
So cute.
have all the luck? Try a beer that drinks like a light with real draft taste. Bud Dry. Because while luck may run out,
Happy birthday, Grandma.
For me.
true refreshment won't.
What you feel for the sport, we feel for the shoes. K-Swiss, crafted with passion. Available at the athlete's foot.
2-point Kansas lead, and this is a thing of beauty what Woodberry did just a moment ago.
Right in your living room, floor level, Woodberry, tense and taut, spin move to avoid Bayless, and then the nice dime to Hancock, who knows how to finish it.
Now, to help translate some of the things that Clark says during the telecast, flush or punch is a dunk, a dime is a nice assist, a chicken wing is a nice hook move, a buffet style is plenty of second shots, and clenched fist means I will not pick up the tab at breakfast.
Oh, you hit me below the belt. You're getting like the rest of the crew, throwing shots at me way below the knees, Ron. Hey, you handled those words pretty good, though. You've heard them enough, huh?
Rayford, as you can see, back in the lineup, number 10. Calvin, the sophomore from Milwaukee, 5'6". Air ball there Michalik will come away with it. Pearson put it up, and of course, to the delight of the partisans here at the Hilton Coliseum, he got nothing. Didn't even draw iron.
I don't think that's the shot Roy Williams wanted. And he talked to us about how in certain points in the game, he wants his team to get a shot that he wants, which is a high percentage shot after you've made the defense work for a while.
Good follow by Hoiberg, and he gets knocked down hard by Scott. And he's going to be going to the line for a couple in the act of shooting. Well, coming up on Sunday, outside the lines, Shaq's sudden impact. An in-depth inside look at the impact of the big rookie, Shaquille O'Neal. The impact that he's had both on and off the court. It's hosted by Bob Lee. 8 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday on ESPN.
You know, the type of reception that he's received is a combination of timing, tremendous talent, and his presence on and off the floor. He seems to carry himself in a way that's enamoring and endearing to fans, young, old, and all in between. And then you talk about his game, 7 feet tall, 300 pounds, the way he moves and gets things done. Watch out for a while, NBA.
Tied again. Thigpen comes away with it. And Iowa State can go back on top as we're about to go into 13 minutes to play. Adonis Jordan will come away with it, then a spin move to get by Bayless. And they are really working on him, and a whistle and a foul, and it looks as though Howard Eaton will pick up the foul.
Well, both possessions, both teams on their last possessions, a little quick with the trigger. I think what you're going to see happen is one of these teams, through good defense, is going to put together a significant spurt. In this game, that's anywhere from 6 to 10 points. And depending on when it comes, that could seal it. Kansas doing a nice job defensively, limiting the Cyclones to one shot. And I think if somebody can put together a 6-8 point run, get a better cushion than the 6-point distance we've seen, that might be the team that holds on to win.
Rex Walters, the senior from San Jose, California. And Iowa State tries to come right back and catch Kansas napping, and they throw it out of bounds. Hancock, that ball was halfway down the cylinder and came back out. That's what you call a very unfriendly hoop. Bayless coming from well off to try to come up and get the tip, and he will pick up the foul. It's only his first. And the team foul number 4 here in the second half. Kansas with 3.
That's a little quick again for Iowa State. Their last 3 possessions, as you look at Hurl Beechum.
Hurl Beechum from the Cyclone lineup, replacing Ron Bayless.
Beechum, a much lighter player coming back this year as he worked hard to change his body design. Continuing the backcourt comparison, 30.7. Bayless and Thigpen, 23 tonight. 14 for Walters and Jordan, 25.6 is what they normally average.
But we've seen in one of our other big Monday games where Adonis Jordan, quiet in half number 1, exploded at Oklahoma in the second half. But he's capable of the big second half.
Walters, just badly in that one.
The Iowa State settled for perimeter shots the last 3 trips, and quick ones at that. Look how high they keep everybody. Great back cut, excellent reaction by Woodberry.
Woodberry looked up and he saw Beechum was about to cut free, took it to the hoop, and Walters at the other end misses. He'll get a pair.
Foul on 32, Fred Hoiberg of Iowa State, his 3rd personal, Cyclones 5th team foul. Walters shooting 2 for the Jayhawks.
Look at this.
The back cut was available, but Woodberry just got one of those long arms out and was able to come up with the steal. Boy, he gives you everything. Absolutely everything.
And on a night when the KU needed everything because Pauley re-injuring his knee in the warm-ups, unable to go tonight. And in Patrick Richey, there's a good look at Eric on the bench. And in case you missed the word, it is a tendon. And it's going to be day-to-day on him. So the folks on the bench have had to come through, and they have done it big time. And Woodberry, of course, is always the first man off.
And he's really a starter that comes off the bench when you look at his minutes. That's such a great lift to have a guy that can give you so many elements at so many different positions. It's a tremendous weapon because people have to prepare for what he brings to the table, even though he doesn't start.
Beechum outside. Hoiberg, the cutter that time. Michalik, nice look to Eaton. He'll score and he'll go to the line.
Well, I just said it a moment ago, their prior 3 or 4 possessions, everything was on the perimeter. Finally, they get it inside. See, Michalik going to be doubled up. There's Woodberry. Walters late rotating over. And quite honestly, not an awful lot of contact there. He got position, chested the shooter, and very easily could have been not whistled for a foul there.
2 fouls on Walters as he will go to the bench. Eaton in and out, won't stay for him. And Scott comes away with it, and he throws it right to Michalik. The foul by Thigpen. Iowa State back on top. Pearson for 3. In and out, won't go. Hoiberg. They score right here. This crowd will light it up.
I think you've got to keep it spread and try to get something going to the cup again. See how high they keep all their players out so they're always ready for back cuts.
Gurley with the steal, and he stepped on the sideline right here in front of us. So there's a timeout. 10-19 years ago, Kansas came to Ames with a number 4 ranking, but Danny Manning's 26-point performance was not enough, as Jeff Hornacek scored 16, and he also dished out 12 assists. Jeff Grayer tallied 19 points and led the Cyclones to a 3-point victory 7 years ago at this arena. Interesting point about how tough this place is to play. Danny Manning, in his entire career, never won at Hilton. Michalik scores. Also, Coach Brown never won here for that.
That's right. They combined to be 0-9 here at Hilton Coliseum. Roy Williams, on the other hand, is 2-2 here.
Yep. Gurley remains in the lineup, as does Pearson. For 3. He didn't touch anything, but Scott is right there, and he'll go to the line for a couple. Eaton picks up the foul, his second.
Well, Scott just working that weak side glass. Pearson has gotten pretty good looks from that right corner and has been unsuccessful on 3 or 4 tries there with a couple of air balls.
Gurley goes to the bench, as does Pearson. And Walters comes back in. Scott, Woodberry. They have Hancock and also Jordan, the 5 and the 4 for KU.
Iowa State, Ron, already with 6 fouls as you look at Sean Pearson. Taking a seat. He's gotten a couple of good looks, just a little strong. Iowa State with already 16 fouls. And again, they're number 1 in free throw shooting in conference play. Kansas is second best, both better than 70% free throw shooting team.
First miss by Scott tonight at the free throw line, and he gets to Karen. Walters fouled by Thigpen.
And here we go now. Iowa State over the limit. And that's the point I was leading into.
That's right, with 9 minutes and 10 seconds left in the ballgame. It really could serve big. because of KU being an above-average shooting free throw team.
That's exactly right. And the way they play by spreading you out and swinging the ball side to side, it's very difficult to defend them effectively without fouling. You might see Iowa State, although Johnny Orr loves to play man-to-man, you might see them change it up and maybe go to a zone defense because of the foul trouble.
Michalik will come to the bench, and Meyer will come back in. Michalik with 7 points. Final, William and Mary gets a 3-point win. New Orleans, in case you missed it, double overtime in a win over Western Kentucky. 2 excellent ball clubs.
That's exactly right. Western Kentucky coming off that win against Louisville not too long ago. UNO with Urban Johnson.
That's their 20th, isn't it? Aren't they 20-2?
They could very well make some noise come tourney time. Cross-court pass is very dangerous. You need to get another bounce and get a better angle.
You can see Jordan slap his hands. He thought, I could have had that had I continued.
So you got to make close passes against a team as quick as Kansas. You want to keep your passes 6 to 8 feet at best. You don't want any of those 12 to 14-foot jobbies.
Meyer picks up the dribble, and Thigpen with 1 second left gets it away, but can't get it down to Woodberry. Clears it for KU.
Boy, excellent defense that time by Kansas. Forced a tough shot without fouling.
Jordan gliding into the middle. Ostertag on the way to the floor. Tips it in.
Well, the big fella stepped up. Again, rebounding, Ron. We talked about that being one of the keys. And here in the second half, 1 shot and 1 shot only for Iowa State. And then any putback has been made by Kansas. Iowa State got 1 earlier by Thigpen, but that's the only one I can recall this half.
60 to 59, Kansas. Hurl Beechum, the sophomore from Des Moines, nails it from way outside beyond the 3-point line. Walters for 3. He's off the mark on that one, and Thigpen will come away.
You know, that shot by Beechum made available because Kansas went to a zone defense that time, and he got in the seam and knocked down the 3. Their man-to-man had been real strong up until that point.
Turnover against Iowa State on top, and these kids got a card for everything. Sports Center is next. There are 2 more cards over there that we'll get on later that say Ron and Clark get raises. The third game of our triple header tonight on Big Monday, UNLV number 13 in the country against UC Santa Barbara. Boy, the Thunderdome will be rocking tonight, and you can bet they'll be trying to stop the Running Rebels' J.R. Ryder, who's 3rd in the nation and scoring at 28-4. That's around midnight Eastern time here on ESPN.
He is as explosive a scorer as there's been in college basketball in a while, J.R. Ryder.
Now this crowd is up and chanting again. The student section are all standing. And the folks behind them are now having to stand.
Well, here's the zone defense I thought Iowa might show you, trying to protect their people in foul trouble, mainly Loren, Meyer, and also to give Kansas a little different look.
Scott with the turnaround jump hook. Tied again.
When you go to the zone, you don't expect it to get inside that easily.
11 points for Scott.
Nice cut by Thigpen.
Beechum not there. Ostertag will grab off the rebound. And again, they work it inside, misses it from up high, and Ostertag to get the carom.
I know I'm a little redundant here, but board work. We like to get back to what we talked about earlier, and rebounding has been the difference here.
Ostertag with 14 points in this one tonight. Following Meyer, grabbed in the wrist by Scott.
That's only the 2nd offensive rebound I can recall by Iowa State this half, and Kansas has 4 or 5.
So let's review the foul situation. That's 3 on Scott. Richey is on the bench with 4. Hancock with 3. And for Iowa State, as we head under 6 minutes to play, Meyer with 3 and Hoiberg with 3. As you look at Patrick Richey, who is on the bench, and he picked up that 4th one very early here in the second half.
Well, Kansas still has another foul to give. Iowa State over the limit already, and they have been since the 9-minute mark.
5 team fouls against Kansas. So again, this second time on the night that Roy Williams has gone with this small a lineup. As he's got Woodberry, Jordan, Richey, and Hancock along with Scott on the floor.
Well, Hancock and Woodberry play much larger than they are. Hancock because of his great hops, and Woodberry because of good jumping ability and long arms. So they're a little smaller, and Scott is their leading rebounder. So it's a good, quick defensive unit.
Michalik left alone, and he'll score that one all night long if you get him from 8-10 feet. Yulo. Julius Michalik.
Miscommunication there. Static in the line. Jordan not looking for the pass from Walters, and I think he had a layup if he would have been
Need to come on
attentive.
Through. Yep.
Well, somebody's got to break them down off the dribble here, Ron. Kansas putting so much pressure on the ball.
Eaton with the soft turnaround, and Scott will get it, and he has injured his knee.
A shot by Eaton. There's Scott in the middle of your screen. I think he's just going to come down awkwardly. Right there. Or did he bump knees? He may have. He's grimacing in an obvious pain.
Mark Cairn, the trainer for Kansas, and he's helping him up rather quickly. So maybe that's a good sign. Maybe what you saw is exactly that they bumped knees, which it hurts for the moment, but we're not talking about a long-term thing.
Let's see how he walks off after we take a look at the...
Well, the Pizza Hut storyline, Clark. Kansas, 6 players with 8 or more points. Richey and Ostertag with 23 points between them. Iowa State, 5 of 10 3-point field goals. Thigpen, 16 points, 7 of 14 field goals. But Thigpen has been silenced for him in the second half. He only has 4.
Well, things have slowed down considerably for both teams, Ron. We were at 40 and 39 at the break. So both teams have scored 24 and 25 points respectively.
Well, this is what you lose with Scott going to the bench. 11 points and 6 rebounds. He's 4 of 10 from the field, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. They've already got Pauley on the bench. Meyer will turn around in the middle, can't get it to go. And a push, and I think Richey has just picked up his 5th foul. His other foul came with less than a minute gone in the second half, didn't it? So he will wind up with hardly 2 minutes in the second half. And the most important thing for Kansas backers is the fact that they're running out of folks inside.
There you see him pushing in the back of Bayless. Anytime a guy is airborne and you give him a shove in the small of his back, you're automatically going to be whistled because no matter how lightly you touch him, it looks like you pushed him hard. And Richey guilty that time of sliding a forearm into the back of Bayless while he was airborne.
Richey with 9 points.
And right now, Ron, they're just attacking that soft spot. Ostertag back on the floor, but the quick hitting inbounds play gets it to Loren Meyer. That's the second time now, and they're able to draw a foul. Will shoot free throws both ways the rest of the way.
Walters picks up his 3rd foul.
See, that was Walters and Jordan trying to handle Meyer in the paint. They were giving up about 6, 7, 8 inches.
That's the tie. Iowa State back on top by 1. Virginia Commonwealth with a win over Virginia Tech tonight. Joe Eagles and the Auburn win. And A&M by 20 over Texas. We'll see Tom Pender's ball club on Thursday night out on the South Plain against Texas Tech. Bouncer inside the Ostertag.
You don't do it any better than that. Take a look, swing it, give it to the big guy, and he had great position for the little jump hook. Boy, Ostertag has been impressive when needed most tonight.
Yeah, you're right. They needed him to come up big, and he has.
You look how far they're forcing the Cyclones to start their offense. That's why dribble penetration is key.
Thigpen not there, and it's Woodberry. 3-on-3. He'll go all the way to the hoop. Can't get it. Has his own follow, and loses it. Took it up strong, but hit the bottom of the backboard. Blocked his own shot. And Woodberry picks up the foul.
See, another reason I'm harping on dribble penetration is that not only will you create a better shot for yourself, but when you make the defense rotate and collapse inside, it gives you opportunities to get to the offensive rebound. If, in fact, the defense forces you to take a tough perimeter shot, they're in tremendous rebounding position, and that's been the case most of this half for Kansas.
Scott is limping noticeably, but he's going to come back on after bumping knees just a couple of moments ago, and Hancock will go to the bench. Meyer with 10 points on this night. Now here's the foul trouble. Richey out. Hancock, Scott, and Walters 3 apiece. Meyer and Hoiberg with 3 each for Iowa State. Meyer's another one who's been impressive tonight.
Very much so. Active big fella, and he's only a sophomore.
Yep.
Showing decent hands as well.
This league has got some good young big people.
That's right.
Walters can't get it. Tipped by Ostertag, and they battle, and the Cyclones come away with it. Under 4 minutes to play. Scott reaching in, and that's his for it.
Here's the pressure out top, which has been the case all night long, and Scott trying to get over the back. Michalik doing a pretty nice job of coming to that pass to force Scott to reach in and commit the foul.
Spot right here. Total, I don't think the Jayhawks are in Kansas anymore. They're in the land of war.
Well, they've been outstanding with their signs here tonight, haven't they? Snatching up some of your creativity.
Yeah. The Hilton Coliseum doesn't give up a lot of losses and has not given up one this year, as we talked about off the top of the telecast. This is what we have left. Timeouts 3 and 2. KU with 3. Team fouls 9 and 7. And possession error with Kansas.
And in the last 5 minutes of the game in Big 8 play, the Cyclones shoot 80% from the line.
Scott alone barely got to it and had to go back out on top. Woodberry for 3, and he can't get it. His spit pin will close. And a healthy Scott would have had that for an easy 2 as he got the backdoor cut.
I think you're exactly right. Instead of moving his feet to get in position, he reached to try to catch the ball. Kansas in no position here. They don't need to foul. They just need to stop. It's a 2-possession game right now. Iowa State wants to create an opportunity to get a hoop or get themselves to the line. We do that with good ball movement and spacing, but right now, they're graped up. They're like a bunch of grapes. No real good spacing out there by Iowa State right now.
Meyer had it taken away. Ball was tipped. Walters will pull up inside the line and swish it. 2-point game.
Well, I still think you've got to be in your attack mode. You can't put it in neutral. Too much time. You've got to look for opportunities to back cut and make sound passes.
Ball tipped by Scott that time, and as Meyer goes to the line, Ostertag makes sure he doesn't get a three-point play.
Well, you look at Ostertag. He's been out there a long time, a little more than he's used to. They almost come up with this. Good hands by Scott, lazy pass by Michalik. See, Ostertag has it, loses it, and now doesn't want to compound things and make sure Meyer doesn't get it on the rack. But after that, you take a look. You wonder about Ostertag and the fatigue factor. I mean, typically...
Well, he had the leg injury and didn't play for a long time at the beginning of the season.
You know, typically he plays about 12 minutes a night. And I think he surpassed that total here this evening.
He's within 5 of equaling his season high. He's got 16 points. 71-68. Iowa State on top.
A good three you'll take, but you really don't need the three.
Foul number 4 on Bayless from Iowa State, his second personal. 18th foul to have on the Cyclones.
Bayless with only his second foul, but you wonder about the wisdom of that one as Ostertag will go to the bench and get a quick breath.
Yeah, he needs one because he was starting to suck up all the air in Hilton Coliseum. Well, you question Bayless bailing out Walters there, as you just mentioned, Ron. You're going to play good D, don't bail out a jump shooter with the foul.
One-point ball game. Iowa State on top, and we're just under 2 minutes to play. Get the double on Thigpen. He picks up the dribble on the floor, and Hoiberg saves it to Meyer. He will, and he slams it home. Somebody needs to tell the officials after on this end that hoop is not straight at the other end after that jam by Meyer.
It sure isn't. It's tilted down a bit.
Jordan fouled by Michalik.
Somebody on the Kansas benches. Here we go. One of the Iowa State players came off the bench and propped it back up. Excellent call there, Ron. Right on top of it. I was so entertained by the flush, but I didn't look at the rack afterwards.
I know a rack that's not straight when I see it. Jordan misses the first. Talk about crowd participation. Got the second one. It's a 2-point game, and it looks like Iwo Jima in the lane. Wow.
Hancock the guy down. I think just a wet spot. Here you take a look. Good concentration, excellent follow through, and then there's the skirmish.
Hoiberg just said, I'm going to make sure you don't get in the lane to get a rebound.
A little cross body block. Hoiberg, an outstanding football player in high school, showing you he hasn't forgotten some of the tricks of that trade. I think Iowa State has been too tentative the last 3 possessions. They got lucky, I think, on that basket by Meyer. But they've been dangerously close to turning it over their last 2 trips. And part of that is because they're taking the ball to the alleys where Kansas wants to trap them on the sideline. Now try to get it in this guy's hands late as he's getting ready to get a shot. Let him go off the dribble, Justus Thigpen, and create for himself. He's an excellent one-on-one player. And now you've got to get busy.
Hoiberg for 3 will go. Walters will come away with it. Woodberry for 3, in and out, not there. Scott tips, Woodberry tips, and Woodberry called for a foul over the back.
I like the shot. I like the shot there, Ron. On the roll, in transition, he got a good look from a big shot taker and maker. I like the shot. Go for it. Roy Williams can't believe the foul. Let's take a look. See, he's got daylight. That's a good-looking shot there. Take that shot. He runs in, tries to come up with the rebound.
See, actually, Hoiberg jumped back into him.
And actually, Woodberry came more over Richard Scott than he did Hoiberg.
Yeah, and that's what Roy Williams was so upset about. So Hoiberg at the line, and KU is going to make him think about it. Timeout on the floor. 24.6 seconds left. Iowa State at 24.6 seconds to change. KU on top, Iowa State at 5-5, and we'll see Oklahoma State next Monday on Big 8. Big Monday here in the Big 8 as they will be taking on Oklahoma. Our first game is Syracuse at St. John's, then OSU at Oklahoma, and UNLV at New Mexico State. Hoiberg goes to the line. Just under 25 seconds left, and look at Roy Williams on that last call.
Well, you and I had the benefit of the replay, as did our viewers, and clearly it seems like Woodberry had made contact more with Richard Scott than he did with Hoiberg, and you made an excellent point.
Ran up underneath him.
It was the case of the official getting to the play and seeing the tail end and not all of it.
3-point game, Kansas basketball.
And that was almost a huge rebound by Loren Meyer. Now the Jayhawks going to spread it out. Heck, I'd go right back to Woodberry. Obviously, you've got other options with Walters and Adonis Jordan as well. But I try to look at Woodberry, give him another chance to knock it down for you.
Timeout called by Kansas, and we'll hold it right here with 9.5 seconds left. This.
Did we expect anything less, Ron?
No, we didn't. I have to say this about just the fervor of this crowd. We're sitting on the front row, and I feel as though that I should stand to watch the end of this game because we're the only ones who are not standing in this arena.
Everybody's up on their feet. There you see many of them clad in red and gold.
Trying to keep the winning streak alive, undefeated here in this basketball season, but more importantly, as the officials huddle, everyone should praise Johnny. Well, and they believe it here in Ames, and I guess so. 3-point game, 9.5 seconds left, and KU with the basketball.
Well, they're obviously drawing up a play to get a look at a 3-point shot. As I said just a moment ago, I think you try to free up Woody. Steve Woodberry. Obviously, Walters is an excellent 3-point shooter in Big 8 play, shooting 44%. Woodberry is at 44 as well. Patrick Richey is out of the game. He's their best at 56.
Well, they are only 2 of 10 tonight. Patrick Richey has both of those, and they have missed their last 8 3-point attempts.
They're not they're a 39% 3-point shooting team, so they might be due for one as you look at Richey. The best way to get a 3-pointer, watch the guy who inbounds the basketball. sometimes he can get himself open. But it's going to be Richard Scott, and I don't think they want him looking at it. The other way to get a three-pointer is through penetration and a kick out.
Jordan. Stolen. Thigpen has it, and he's fouled. State will pull everybody off the line. 4-point lead, and misses on that one, and KU will call a timeout. ESPN's College Basketball brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when, and by the people of Nike who encourage you to just do it. And by Gillette Sensor and the new Gillette series, Gillette, the best a man can get. Ron Franklin and Clark Kellogg with you here from the Hilton Coliseum and the campus of Iowa State University. And 1.8 seconds showing on the board. And Iowa State is going to keep this string alive, Clark. It has been an astounding run. How can you be so Jekyll and Hyde? They're going to be 6-0 in the conference at home and 0-5 on the road.
Well, I think part of it is the mentality you have to take on the road is one of seizing the game and being the aggressor. You don't have the crowd to give you that adrenaline rush that they do when you're at home. And the confidence level is a factor. In their last 2 road games, though, they played extremely well. They had Oklahoma down, and they also had an opportunity to win their last road game at Kansas State. They lost that one in overtime, so they're more confident bunch. I don't think the road skid is going to continue. I expect them to win a road game before this season's over.
Well, folks, this is what we've had tonight. If you would ask for any more excitement than this, 18 lead changes, 8 ties, the maximum lead by Kansas tonight, 6, and the biggest lead by Iowa State, 4 points, which matches it right now. And you take a look at Eric Pauley, who injured his knee in the warm-up. They will take him back home and check him over, but stretched a tendon, and they say it's going to be day to day. Ostertag with the baseball pass. Richey gets it to Scott, and won't go. Feeling this celebration will not be a short-lived thing. Iowa State 75, Kansas 71. The string continues. SportsCenter is next.